Children's rugby or something. Kept everyone going. Which I think we've won silver, so that's good. Welcome to this meeting of the Finance and Performance Committee. We have apologies from Councillor Brewer, who's not well, Councillor Filipina, Member Tamahiri for absence, and Councillor Fletcher and Lee for absence on Council Business, and Councillor Wayne Walker for lateness, and the Deputy Mayor for lateness.
And Councillor Quacks for lateness, he's driving.
Okay, Councillor Quacks for lateness, he's driving. Right, I'll move those apologies. The seconder. Thank you, Callum. All those in favour, against, carried. Declarations of interest. Have no declarations of interest. Confirmation of the minutes of the 21st of July. I wasn't here. Can someone please?
I'll move.
Thank you. Seconded.
Yep.
Councillor Clow. Thank you very much. No petitions, no public input. We have three items of local body input. Welcome people. Presumably you want to come up now because I think it's to do with the disposal report, isn't it? So first up, welcome, Chair Baker.
Good morning, Madam Chair, and thanks for the opportunity. So I'm here to speak about item 9 on your agenda, which is the disposal of 27 and 37 Tobin Street, Pukekohe, but I'm also going to throw my 2 cents in regards to Flanagan Road and also, more importantly, Hooper Ave, which is a previous or a following item. Look, local board has given, and is in the report, the local board has doesn't support the disposal of 27 and 37 Tobin Street in Pukekohe. We have on our board the benefit, I guess, of a local board member who's into his 33rd year of local government, in Murray Kay, who has been on the Puke Borough Council and the Franklin District Council and was Deputy Mayor of the Franklin District Council. And the Franklin District Council put in place a ring road around the outside of Pukekohe, and that was as Pukekohe was starting to grow way back. They put in a ring road to try and get the traffic out of the main street, and as part of that development they created some small areas of green reserve, I guess you could call it, around that ring road, and it was really to create a feeling of that we're not losing the rural feel of Pukekohe. Pukekohe, even with the huge growth that is happening and going to happen, not only in the direct area of Pukekohe, where the projections are that the population will triple, but within the North Waikato, for which Pukekohe remains the main town of interest, Pukekohe will always be a rural service town. It will always be servicing a massive rural area, and as such, one of the things that it is best known for and one of its greatest features is the fact that it has these small areas of green and trees. These 2 bits were done deliberately by the Franklin District Council to maintain and to mitigate that urban development, to retain that rural value, the rural feel, the look of the place. And it just happens that the way they did it was to create them with titles. They didn't do it to enable them to later be sold. So we are asking you to not support the disposal of those 2 bits of property on the basis that they add a considerable amount to the well-being, which you're obliged to look at, to consider under Section 15 of the Local Government Auckland Council Act, and that's why we're here. So, we're saying there's bigger fish to fry in Pukekohe. Council is a significant landowner in the town centre, and we have worked with Panuku and are continuing to work with Panuku in a way that we are able to rationalise those bits of property. This is low-hanging fruit that doesn't need to be sold. We as a local board have supported everything basically that Panuku have come to us, so we have supported just about every single proposition to sell property in our area. Only once have we said no previously, and that wasn't a no, that was just a hold and wait to see if we need that bit of land in regards to eroding requirement. So, you know, we're not here to try and hang on to bits of dirt just because we can. We are saying these two bits of property are significant in regards to the community, the feel and look of the town. One of our greatest challenges with the growth is that we need to try and maintain Pukekari's rural feel. It is what people love about the place. It is what attracts people to the town. And these two little bits of dirt, and they are small bits of dirt, add dramatically to that. So we're asking that you reject the recommendation. I understand why Panuku, you know, I know what their mandate is and I know exactly what they're here to do. It's black and white. We're here to add some grey. And so, you know, from a community point of view, it would be a very, very poor decision for council to dispose of those bits of land, those two bits of land. Flanagan Road in Drury, absolutely support, no problem there. And in regard to Hooper Ave, if I may, Madam Chair, having been involved in this since the initial proposal and having spoken to the woman that is the objector, we as a local board fully support the closing of this walkway. As I think I've said before, I'm an ex-policeman in Pukekari. That walkway was a problem then. It's still a problem. And, you know, the only person that wants it closed is a woman that wants it to be retained so that her children can walk to the school bus. They don't even go to the local school, they're out of zoners. And we've actually put in a footpath funded by the local board to try and address her issues. So let's just sell it, and I urge you to support Panuku there. So I tried to do a deal with Panuku at the back, but they wouldn't have it, you know. But so that's me. Yeah, I just want you to, our big thing is please don't dispose of 27 and 37. It means a lot to the town in many, many ways, and that's what we're here to give you advice so you can make an informed decision.
Thank you. Quick questions for Andy? Councillor Casey.
Andy, the report says that no confirmation of the use of that land as open space was to be found in the archives. You were saying you've got a member of your board who was there at the time, so presumably that is one form of affidavit. Yeah, so he's adamant that they created those bits of land and it was all about the look and feel of the place. That they were there to be open space. And, you know, if you ask, I see parks have responded to it saying, look, it has no recreational value. If you ask that question, you know, depends how you ask the question. You can ask a question, as George will know as a policeman, you can ask a question that will elicit the answer you want. And so...
you never did that, George.
Sorry, George was CIB, he used to twist things.
That's a kind of a Steelers rugby type of
That's right.
way you talk to
Thank
referees.
You. Well, thank you very much, Andy.
Cool.
Great. Okay. The next local board input is Joe Bergen.
Take it out. I'll move to take it out. So just, Madam Chair, on that, I think it's instead of regarding for Chair Andy, it's opposing the proposed disposal.
Oh, okay. Right. We should put that in. Fair enough. Yep. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just an update and to members of the committee who are here. Just also on item 9, following on from Andy there, the Devonport Takapuna Local Board has considered this property and we considered it in conjunction with another property that was presented by Panuku for disposal, but the only one for discussion today that I'm here to speak to is number 2 Forest Hill Road. I have been resolved by the board to come here today, and first of all, just to explain the vote on this issue. So the board was split down the middle, and so there were 3 in support of the recommendation of Panuku and 3 opposed to it. And so in that instance, I used my casting vote to support the resolution that we passed coming forward to today. It's not just a simple endorsement, though. We did add in addition to what Panuku were requesting, we specifically identified that open space, that it was subject to an alternative open space acquisition in the area being identified, noting that the area is not within an acceptable range for walking distance provision target for neighbourhood parks. And really that's us taking the words directly out of the policy around the provision and availability of neighbourhood parks, local parks, regional parks for the people of Devonport, Takapuna and across the whole region. So we're trying to, in this instance, deal with it on a purely policy level. We accept that this piece of land, or the majority of view of the board, is that this piece of land is not an ideal piece of land for a neighbourhood park, but we are very aware that it is part of a large area in the Forest Hill Sunnynook part of the local board's interest, and Westlake generally, where there is high projected growth, and that even at this stage, according to the open space acquisitions policies, it doesn't meet the current provisions requirements for open space. So we appreciate that this particular piece of land, there were a mixture of views, obviously, and I'm sure you see this a lot, a mixture of views around whether this particular piece of land could be used in a wider neighbourhood park sense, but certainly the general position is that this is an area that desperately needs some open space acquisitions. You can see in the report that you have the photos, the satellite photos that Pānuku have provided for you, identify that there was a house on this property only a couple of years ago. It was acquired for road widening purposes. That road widening is now complete. So the piece of land there is a leftover from that. And our identified preference is for a quality piece of open space to be acquired, because we don't want our community being left with only the scraggly bits at the end. The other point that I would just highlight, because I am very aware that we workshopped this issue with Pānuku, and I want to highlight again that we're very grateful to Pānuku and Letitia in particular for the work that her and her team do in preparing these reports. It's a difficult job, as I know you all encounter, and as Andy just identified before, sometimes the local boards can be seen as coming in here and just wanting to protect every scrap of land that we have. We're not doing that in this instance. We're coming forward with a pragmatic point of view and trying to suggest that the land itself, we appreciate that we need to have acquisitions in that space. This isn't the most ideal piece of land. But one point I will highlight with Pānuku's recommendation is it would have been based on the recommendations of the Parks Department, and there does seem to have been, without me wanting to speak too much about the detail and without me knowing the detail, there does seem to have been a disconnect within the Parks Department around the policy position on this piece of land and the local parks advisor. So that may be something that you wish to have clarified. But as far as the board's resolutions go, and that's all that I'm entitled to speak to, it was a very close call and decision and discussion, but ultimately the board supports the disposal of this piece of land, but only so long as there is an alternative open space piece identified within the area. So I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any, Madam Chair.
So probably my question is, so if we change the recommendation to reflect what you're saying, you'd be okay with that?
That would be, yes, we would be. I don't think we gave a blanket endorsement, and I do have the wording of the resolution if it's helpful for me to pass it up to
and we've got
Sandra.
it, it's in our report, so we're happy with that.
Thought I saw it there. So.
Councillor Cashmore.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Hi, Joe. The board identified another bit of suitable land you think is better that you can inform parks with?
We haven't, and I wouldn't ordinarily advise the board down that course of action of sort of in a public meeting identifying any potential piece of acquisition in that space. But I don't know where the opportunities currently lie. Probably something a little bit further away from such a heavily congested road corridor. Right, yeah. But we haven't identified a specific piece of land. We potentially could, if you'd like us to, Bill. But I think it's probably a better move just to highlight that we're already below the acceptable standard in terms of walking distances for a large population in that area. And so we don't want them getting gassed using this piece of land with the widened Taharota Road, but we would like something in the north of the board area.
Thank you. Councillor Darby.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks for coming in. And I know this is always difficult when you're a chair representing a split vote decision, so good on you. Hey, I've also asked some questions, and I've had brief discussions with you on this. What is where did the discussion with the board from Parks operational staff get to on this land becoming a space that is developed as a gateway, and these are words quote, and this is from the staff member, a gateway to the Devonport Takapuna area from the industrial area of Wairau Park. Are you aware of that? Was that discussed with you as chair, or was that with your parks portfolio person, of the retention of this land to establish a gateway?